the degree. We're also looking for the attitude, the willingness, being able to have good communication skills, problem solving. So we will take individuals who have the desire to be in technology and train them and develop them internally. Is that what we'd prefer to do? Probably not. It would be really, one of the things that we look at when we're working with education is, and you all have done a beautiful job in the state of Utah, that we look for education to help our students these days to get that, to come to us ready to communicate, work in teams, also to be able to have innovative ideas and to add to what we're doing. Because we're at such a fast pace right now, internally in the tech industry, it's really hard for us to keep up. So specifically our company right now, we are trying on a daily basis to redesign what we're doing in software dev, the offering that we're giving to teachers. And without people that have those innovative ideas and that creativity, we really struggle. So we're willing to help with that, but we do rely heavily on our partners to get that basic common education that when they come to us, they're ready to work.
Okay, at this point, I want to open this question up to the audience. Does the audience have anything they want to say regarding the question about what is the goal of school? We've got the educator's perspective, business and industry perspective, and then not only can these goals be accomplished, but how. So anything we've missed or any points that you want to get clarification on, any question you want to ask? Go ahead.
Well, really quick, the one thing that I learned at this conference, and I'm trying to remember who I learned it from, is that for every engineer, who did I learn that from? There's 7 technicians needed to fill that role in that project. And so I thought that was really interesting that you're looking for technicians. But if we're talking about what is the purpose of education, I'd like to know maybe what you see as what are some of the barriers right now that our children are facing, and maybe from all of you.
Okay, maybe we'll start with education.
I'll go first. In terms of barriers, I think we're getting better at this, but the barrier still remains of something that was said earlier, that not enough people understand the excellent pathway of education, especially to get into a good career. When it was said we need to pound out a master's degree and get that done, we all think of that as parents, as grandparents, and we program our children to think the world is that way in terms of education. But things are changing, and with economics the way they are, and thank you for bringing up the concept about how many technicians it takes to support an engineer or two. That is really important for our economy and for the workplace, that we have the technicians that help to do that part of the work as well. Somehow we've got to get the message out to our parents, to our children, to those students, that there are great ways to get an education, and just going nonstop from kindergarten to perhaps a graduate degree is not the only method. That getting yourself through high school, a certificate that shows you've got some documented skills, work in the industry for a little while, continue on at getting an associate's degree, getting a bachelor's degree are all great options. It's the varied options that are available today are not well enough known.
Can I just add to that? Going off of both comments that were here, one of the barriers I think our high school students lack is experience. So I'm going to go back to something we talked about earlier. We need industry. One of the greatest experiences for young people, as I have worked with them, are internships. And it's so hard to burden industry. And I know that, to say, will you take a 17 or 18-year-old? It's frightening. I mean, most of us don't even want them in our home. And so it's like, wow, you want them in my industry. And so, and I say that with tongue in cheek, but if we want them to have those soft skills, working in a group, problem solving, creatively coming to solutions, I can only simulate that in a high school setting. I can give them labs, I can give them experiences, but they're simulations. But if you take them for 4 hours a week, I'm not even talking full-time interns that are paid. We're talking in our work-based learning program in the state of 4 hours a week for a semester. And you put them with an engineer or a technician or with somebody out there who is constantly creatively problem solving, showing them how you work in a team, showing them how you resolve conflict with that colleague that you really don't agree with the answer, but you're going to have to pretend you do for 20 minutes. Those are the kinds of things that when they're actually out in your field, give them those. And so one of the things that, again, as I come inviting industry into public ed is we need space. We need places to put not just our high-end Sterling scholars, not just my 4.0 brilliance that you're going to put through to a PhD, but some of my kids that are just great kids, 3.2, 25 ACTs that make up the majority of our work field. Give them a place to practice. I know they get to do it in their lifeguard job and working at the movie theater, but it isn't the same. So that would be one of my response of, we need some space. We would love some space.
Yeah, amen to that. That's one of our internal, you're asking about barriers, a barrier on us. And I know industry has their own bureaucracy, but our bureaucracy, and then you layer on that the security clearances. I would love to get high schoolers, much less college level interns, over the wire, inside the wire at Hill Air Force Base to appreciate what's going on there, because there are amazing things going on, very hands-on engineering sort of jobs. So Norm LeClaire is here. He's the head of my workforce development team. So Norm, let's figure this out. I mean, we really need to figure out a way to get high schoolers inside the wire and get them more experience, more than a windshield tour, more than just a, hey, look over there, there's an airplane. It's what's inside, what's below the skin, what are the issues, and get them comfortable with that and give them exposure to that. So amen.
Real quick, Norm, do you have any ideas for that off the top of your head there? You're not on the spot or anything.
Do you want the mic?
We'll get you a mic.
Thanks. I mean, we will figure out ways to help integrate students into even something broader than just Hill. I think we have to go there. And so I want to turn this opportunity around for a question that I had for you,
Okay.
Scotty, and everybody else. And so let me tell you about a fascinating thing I saw out in Ohio about integrating students into the fabric of our world. So I'm out visiting my, and then I want to ask you whether or not we're ready for something like this in Utah. So I'm visiting my daughter. I get to go to the STEM school in Ohio next to a Honda plant. And my eyes start watering. I can't believe what's going on in there. So they invite an independent company to come into campus to do their IT infrastructure. It was amazing. These people have a portfolio around the entire community. They're running a company right on campus. And they invite the students into that environment. They can go into that company and help them with their, help learn about IT, learn about what's going on. They run the school infrastructure, which is amazing. The students in one classroom can collaborate with the students in another. It's fascinating to watch this school. They're set up for team and environment like I couldn't believe. It gets better because Honda's right there. It's wonderful to have a company like that. Puts this high-end industrial robotics lab right in the school. This isn't the little robots. This is the big automotive industrial robots right in the school. So now we have a fabric where the fence actually, what was inside the fence moved out into the school, which is one solution we're not ready for yet, but it's an interesting solution. And so I'm looking at these kids, and as I'm leaving, the big problem that this school has is the kids don't want to go home. They want to stay and learn. And the school doesn't know how to deal with that. So I just want to put that out there and let you guys kind of discuss that and see where we can go with that.
I can speak, I'd be careful as I speak on behalf of Superintendent Bowles, but that model you saw in Ohio is a model similar that we visited in Kansas, and they do it in 4 industry areas, and the kids go to school at the site of the business. So the answer to your question is, are we ready for discussion? I'm so sorry the rest of the school districts aren't sitting up here. Davis is ready. I think we would be ready for that discussion of doing these types. The superintendent and I have spoken about this, we even have talked about property that we have in Davis for these types of things. We're ready, and I know with my colleagues out there, so I won't to all the rest of the school districts, we're ready to have these conversations. We know we're not equipped. We have great partnerships with our ATCs. I give incredible shout out to those because the idea of creating a pipeline, I can give a very specific and personal example of a child who had the opportunity in high school as a high-level science student, high-level, does international science fair, but in it needed your composites program to make it work. And we had great people at the Ogden Weber ATC who saw this and didn't see him as an other kid or a vocational kid, but opened the eyes that young people who are bright need a technical skill. And he's completing the composites program this year, and he as he finishes graduating. So he will now go to college as a composite technologist, make a decent wage to finish his way through school, and it's opened his eyes to maybe manufacturing engineering, and I'm not going to stop here. Those are the examples. So when you ask, are we ready? Yeah. Well, I know we're doing a great relationship with Boeing. A whole consortia of our school districts are working with you on composite technologies. Don't be limited. If you've got an idea and you want to begin to generate, the partnerships between the ATC, the high school, as we used to call it a 2+2 program. I know that's probably a little dated, but I've been in the foundation a couple of years, so work with me on my terms. But we're ready, and we want it. What we want for young people when they graduate from high school is a direction, and to be prepared for the next institution to take them to your workplace. I want Davis County to be successful. I would like to retire in 3 to 5 years. I need these kids to be employed. So we have these great needs, and so yeah, I would say yes. Let's talk. Let's have lunch and see how we can get over the fence at Hill Air Force Base, since we happen to be right in your backyard and have some great programs.
Norm, thank you. Thanks for letting us put you on the spot. That is a brilliant idea. Great to hear it, because if anyone can do it, Utah can certainly do something like that. So let's get that conversation going. That's terrific. Okay, next question. Let's hear from you.
You know, I was thinking about barriers, and as I'm listening to the conversation here and conversations I've heard in the past, one thing that I see as a barrier is the way that we view the education system and who is the customer of it. Typically, the conversation is around industry is the customer, so therefore we will complain about our product that you're giving us. When we asked about the purpose of education, what I heard is people who can be successful, who can contribute, that the people are the customer. And so what that means, the reason why that's really important is that when we view people as the customer versus industry as the customer, what we do is we design our systems around people. So in other words, we say the end game is people who can contribute to society. And so I need to understand my customer, and the next thing is I have to understand the system or process for developing that. And education has a lot of programs to do that. I'm not seeing what industry is doing. I'm not seeing where they've said it's my role to develop people. It's my role to connect with industry. I'm not saying that's not happening. I'm saying when are we going to view this education as a system where everybody is playing the game? And it's a life system that we go from birth all the way till end of employment, and it's an education system. Because I think this mentality of industry is the customer, you need to give us what we want, is a flawed thinking. And I'm wondering, is that something that we can change? Is that something that we want to change? To say that really industry has just as much as a role in this education system as the traditional education system. Just want to hear your thoughts.
Okay, let's start with industry on that one.
100% agree. We can use the word industry as the end customer. It's all part of one connecting path. We're trying, I think, as you start talking to various people in industry here in Utah and throughout the country, we're trying to do more of what you just talked about. We have an interactive program with the DATC to help set up what the training course is for advanced composite technicians, because that's a workforce we need. We do some of the same things for inspection technologists. A little bit of a connection with manufacturing engineering education. I agree 100% that's a barrier. That connection to industry and industry being able to be part of the education is a barrier that we have to overcome. I'm going to go back a little bit, because I think there's another barrier. It's an interesting thing, if you use an industry term, supply and demand. The demand staying only in the technical STEM-related area discussion. The demand is not the issue. The industry demand is huge. There's statistics that show that there's 3 job offers for every STEM professional that's out there. And it reverses if you're not STEM-related profession. So the demand is there. So if, in a free market system, you say supply demand, supply should fill the demand. So there has to be a big barrier. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. It would be filling itself, and it's not. So I think what you just touched on is one of the barriers, is that industry has to be part of the education process, because in essence, we can't wait. The world is so fast and the competition's so great. Other countries that are really stepping up to the plate and bringing STEM professionals to their workforce that are trained and ready to go, and it's so expensive to train once you get them. The apprenticeship programs in industry are so expensive that industry needs trained technicians, programmers. And again, a big chunk of the STEM professionals are not the engineer. A big chunk of them are the technicians and the programmers and the machine control professionals, et cetera. So that has to be, that connection with industry and the training going way back, so that when they come in, they're already relatively well trained. That's one big barrier. Another big barrier is, going back to the supply side, is socially we haven't really connected the importance of technology and trained. We kind of look at it as almost a negative in a sense. I talked to somebody earlier, the TV shows that show STEM professionals, they're either criminals or nerds, all right? I don't personally think I'm a nerd. I know I'm not a criminal. So I think we have to change that perception. I guarantee the rest of the world does not look at STEM the same way we do in our social fabric. So that's a barrier that we also have to overcome.
I'd like to add to that, and thank you for bringing up the subject, and thank you for the supply and demand, because I have a few statistics, so if you'll bear with me, I have to put my glasses on. All right. And I believe truly that it has to be a partnership between education and industry. It's not that education leaves us off and industry takes over, or vice versa. So recently, we have started to develop some partnership with like Coding Campus, and also we do some shadowing. The shadowing is with high school students. We had a gentleman, it's a success story, just this end of the last school year, who was a senior, who came to job shadow. He wanted to be a QA, had not gone to college yet, ferreted out one of our leaders in quality and said, "Can I come work for you?" So we quickly snatched him up before he even started college, and he's working with us as an intern while he's going to school. And we have, assistance for him as well as he's going to school that we pay for. Additionally, with Coding Campus, we need that certification. It's not always just the degree, but we're out there working with them as well so that we can get some of the tech talent that we need in order for them to work on the product that we produce. So just a couple of statistics I'd like to share to validate the supply and demand. Career Builders just put out a 2015 report that said the 10 hardest jobs to fill in America, the demand right now is 731,075 jobs. Okay, and the supply for those same jobs is 78,427. That's 9.5 jobs for every person. So we in the state of Utah also are seeing that when you think about Silicon Slopes, okay? Innovate Educate just put out some statistics here for the state of Utah and said that for openings for 4 positions, there was 4 positions, meaning like software dev, not 4 individual positions, 7,859, okay? And then just recently, the UTC, the Utah Tech Council, had 30 employers in a group where we had a call to action and we looked at what do we need to do. So we had a survey of the 30 people. And out of those organizations, there was 1,845 open tech positions, of which 1,079 were software dev and engineering. Now that was just projection for those 30 companies for the remainder of the year. So the supply and the demand is really out there. That is a barrier for industry, for us to be profitable, for us to be able to have, to work within the economic conditions that we have. We need a partner so that we can have good people come out of education into industry. And do we have an obligation to help with that? Absolutely. And that's why we've been just recently, by the way, I'm happy to announce we're going to be partnering with Weber State University. We met with Career Services 2 weeks ago, and we're going to be a platinum partner. And then also, we've been working with University of Utah. They've been very good at going out to their alumni with job openings that we have in the tech industry, and letting people know that have been educated here and left the state, there are wonderful jobs here. Come back to us. We want you. And so we really want to work with the education groups across the U.S., across Utah, but as well as across the United States.
Yeah, we're really hearing that we need more of a